Yeah, and to kind of recap a little bit on what Matt was saying, since you did miss that, he was talking about, the way I took it at least, is how the space just doesn't seem to care. And in, in one of the replies that I had to Vinny earlier is, I kind of look at it like a tiered system in a way, and the base, the foundation is decentralization and security, and obviously scalability too. If you don't have those, you have nothing. So, what's almost the point in worrying about something that sits on top of that if we can't even get people to care about the most important foundational aspects of the space? And clearly they don't, which is sad. Now, I'm not
Well,
saying that
or
means we should ignore open source. It's not something I'm going to put my time and energy into because I feel like there's a bigger fish to fry out there.
yeah, there is. But the problem is people like us who have a little, I have a small voice, you have a big voice, Vinny's got a growing voice. Even simple reminders from time to time to remind people that it doesn't matter until it does. Same as security, same as your assets that are in your wallet. It doesn't matter until it does. And if we keep on reminding people the same way we're reminding people that we have the safest wallet, all we can do is drop seeds, right? So if we don't mention it from time to time, then how are people going to even consider the aspect that we're discussing today? So it behooves those with a voice to stand up and say, oh, by the way, guys, you know what? If it's a black box and you're putting your money into it, you have to, just like you're lending money to a friend, only lend or invest what you're truly able to lose.
100%. Yeah, that's the most important with anything, I'd say. And that's also why I sometimes steer clear of some of these DeFi or DeFi heavy protocols. I'm okay with sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5% staking, which anyone really should be. That's a lot more than you're going to get anywhere else in the world. And my risk appetite isn't high enough sometimes to really push for 8, 9, 10, 12, 20%, whatever it may be, that you could get with doing some of these other things like looping and having to constantly monitor your portfolio. But let's send it to Vinny. See, you got your hand up.
Yeah, adding up to what Drew said, the one thing that I also think why it's worth it to from time to time to tackle on that topic, on the open source topic, is because I think Robert commented that somewhere today. Uh, some time ago, it would be unthinkable for someone to launch a protocol on Web3 and DeFi and make it closed source. Nobody would do that. Uh, it was just a recent thing that some protocols started surging closed source. Hyperliquid being a huge success example of that. Like Hyperliquid came being closed source with the promise of open sourcing it, and it got a massive market capitalization. And we saw also other protocols doing that before. But my point is that this used to be a very how can I say that? A very well-known common ground for everybody building and using DeFi. People wouldn't even think about launching something closed source live or using something closed source live because it was common ground. It isn't now, so maybe I think it's time for us to get back to these principles. Uh, and talking about that from time to time can help. And also not saying that a project that is closed source is evil. I said that sometimes as well. I really don't want to paint that image. I really just think that open source is really important. And by the way, you talked about decentralization and security and how it's so hard to input these concepts on the mind of people on Web3, and many people don't care about that. But open source is more objective than that. Some people may disagree on what makes a network really decentralized or more decentralized or less decentralized. We have seen a lot of these discussions on Web3, like Ethereum is more decentralized, Multiverse is more decentralized, Cardano is more decentralized, Algorand, and so on. And there are plausible arguments on many sides, but either a project is open source or not. So it's a simpler concept to grasp, which I think is why it's also important to tackle it more often, because it's easier for people to understand the benefits and understand what is and what isn't.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's very black or white. There's no middle area, unlike decentralization, where it's on a scale. And I don't think we're ever going to completely agree what is decentralized in the space.